Well, shalom. This is Dave from Universal Truth of Mankind. We're going to take a slight break here. We did the first 5 verses of the prologue where we talked about the lily and the flower buds. So what I want to do here is try to do more of a visualization of what we covered. And I'm going to use what's called the Kabbalah tree or the Sephirotic tree. This is the tree of life, and so forth. So it has several names to it. But before you see basically 10 circles that are connected. And the 10 circles, in essence, represents the 10 attributes of the Creator, or the 10 revealed attributes of the Creator in creation. Also, you will notice that there are 22 paths connecting the 10 for a total of 32. Now, the 22 are the 22 characters of the alphabet, and obviously the 10, 32. And these are paths of righteousness, paths of that we are to take in order to improve ourselves. So let's take a quick peek at this. You'll see 2 horizontal lines. I wanted to split this up in a way that made sense. And on top, let's go back to the very first verse where we talk about Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God. In the beginning, Elohim. Now, many do not realize this, but that's 3 words. Now, why does Genesis 1:1 not say God created, but rather it says in the beginning God created? There are 2 Hebrew words before we even get to Elohim, and you would think that if God is so great, then wouldn't he be the first word? Well, why is he the 3rd word? Well, these are essentially 3 words here. We take a look at the blue item, right in the center on top. What do we see? We see what's called Keter, which is the will of the Creator. It's the desired outcome for creation. And no matter what, that's going to be carried out. Period. That simply will be. Now we go down slightly and to the right. We can think of this as the brains, the mind of the Creator, the thought of creation. And then we shoot on over to the left, and we got the mouth of creation, the mouthpiece. That gives the ability for the Creator to speak things into existence, which we see in Genesis 1. I mean, it's very obvious, very clear. This is what happens. This is what occurs. So that's 3 of the 10. So we're left with 7 now, which, if you think about it, remember in verse, I think, 5, we talked about the rainbow. Well, what does a rainbow consist of? 7 colors. Well, if you notice, the Sephirotes do have colors to them. Now, I have not reviewed this to see if the colors are correct in this particular chart. I'm not interested in that. But I wanted to make sure that it was understood that we were talking about these lower 7 Sephirotes. And those 7 Sephirotes, number 7, represents a Brit, a covenant. Now, we read about those in those first 5 verses, about the covenant, about the Brit. And that's brought forth by the 7 Sephirotes that we see here. If you count them real quick, starting at the white one, you can see on this 3rd row on the right, right below the first horizontal line, you should be able to note that there are 7, if you count them all, 7 Sephirotes. Actually, there's 6 plus the one down below, the 2nd horizontal line. But you get the idea. So what was the covenant? Well, the root souls. The soul of Abraham, the soul of Isaac, the soul of Jacob. You can see them, I labeled them there. And the soul of Joseph. Now there's more, But I just mentioned those 4 because that's what's been mentioned in the past 5 verses. So take a good look at it, and you can see that the covenant that the Creator has given us are, in fact, the souls. Abraham is part of that covenant. Isaac is part of that covenant. Jacob is part of that covenant. Joseph is part of that covenant. Now, we're not talking about the physical part. We're talking about the spiritual part of these men. So collectively, that's how the Creator's bringing out His will into creation. Eventually, Israel is what we're speaking of. Now, you may also note that there's 6 days of creation. And between the 2 horizontal lines, there are exactly 6 sepharot. Now, what's peculiar about this is that you see 1 green sepharot in the middle, and it's essentially surrounded by 5 sepharots. These 5 combine into 1, and it's given the name of Zer Anpin. You're going to see that later on as we speak, as we read and study. Sorry about this. I'm outside, and the pollen's getting to me. But I love the spring. I love being outside, and I love the sun. I love listening to the birds. So here I am. So here are the 5 sephirots surrounding the 1. And when you compress these down into a single one, to the green, which is Teferet, it's called Zer Anpin. And Zer Anpin is the balancing point of all 6 of the sephirots between the 2 horizontal lines. Again, it's called Zer Anpin. This is the point of the Messiah. This is the exemplary point of where we're supposed to exist. It is the fulfillment of the character traits that we are supposed to ingest in our own being. Again, we're talking about spiritual level here. So take note of that. And then we had the 7th day of rest, which is all the way at the bottom. Now, I put the word souls there for a reason, because this is where we're at now. We are souls with bodies. And this is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Joseph, all became physical. And we see this physicality at and below this level. Now, as we take a quick look at the previous verses, we talked about the rows, we talked about the 5 gates, we talked about the covenant, we talked about various patriarchs, we spoke about the various aspects of spirituality. So I hope this acts as a key for you to help you to understand better what's going on. Now, one other quick thing to think about. When we talk about creation, there's a male and female aspect of the Creator. And the bottom, below the bottom horizontal line, you will see what's called Malchut. Now, Malchut represents the feminine aspects of the Creator. It's the receiver. It receives from above. And then we see, like I said, Teferet in the middle there, the green one, the green Sephirah. And then in the middle of it, going down is Yesud. Between those two is Yesud. Now, Yesud acts as the divine phallus. And what this means is that the lower world is impregnated by the upper world and creates the souls. So you should see that flow. I hope this helps you. I hope this helps you to understand better and gives you more of a pictorial illustration of what is actually occurring in those first 5 verses of the Zohar. I wish you well. Shalom, shalom. Be safe.